I recently read F.C. Yee's The Rise of Kyoshi, the first book in the Chronicles of the Avatar series. Also want to clarify for anyone just coming into this is the Arrow Avatar, not the Blue People Avatar. As a lifelong Avatar fan, I loved this book. For anyone who just wants to jump right into the book, an astonishing amount of it is available for free in the Google Books preview section. It's a good way to make sure you gel with FCE's writing style before picking it up. Right off the bat, if you go into this book not knowing who Kyoshi is, your experience is going to be a lot different than if you go in knowing who she is. The first major plot point will be a twist if you go in with no background knowledge, but if you've seen the show, it's just kind of establishing what you already know. This book is a really fun read. One of the ways I look at books is to see how the author manages their characters. I like the chess player analogy. An author has all these pieces at their disposal, now it's up to them to determine how they position them to see if they can use them effectively to get to their end goal. And man oh man, Yee is a ruthless chess player. I'm not going to get into the details, this is going to be a spoiler-free review. I'm just going to leave it at, Yee does not baby his characters just because he has grown attached to them. He really plays up the advantage of having all this blank time period in the Avatar world to work with, so I'll just leave it at, don't get really attached to anyone. On the book itself, Yee's writing style is really accessible and an easy read. If you or someone you know is wanting to get back into reading after a long time of being away from it, this is a great starter book to get your reading sea legs back. It's not a particularly long book, it clocks in at a little over 400 pages. I went through it in about 1 week of casual reading after work. Yee has a chapter structure that's a little predictable, but I actually think it contributed to my enjoyment of the book. For the majority of the story, Yee has a pattern of 2 chapters of interpersonal drama, 2 chapters of action, where the drama chapters set up the characters, conflicts, and stakes, and the action chapters pressure test those relationships and dynamics. It does a great job of raising tension. When you're at the end of that second interpersonal drama chapter, you know something crazy is about to happen on the next page. However, I'm not able to objectively tell if this book would be enjoyable if this was your first foray into the world of Avatar. The biggest aspect that any newcomer will struggle with is the whole bending premise. The book doesn't really establish it in a way that could get someone new to the world up to speed with it or how to visualize it. That said, fighting was less on the forefront than I imagined it would be, so bending doesn't really matter beyond can a character do it or not, so it doesn't detract from the overall experience. My only other complaint is that the ending felt really abrupt. The book either went on for 1 chapter too long in order to hook you for the next book, or ended 1 chapter too early to properly utilize the pieces that are in the last chapter. I actually had to go back after reading the last chapter to make sure I didn't miss one of those "here's a preview of the sequel" markers that are sometimes included in books in the series. Because of how the last chapter felt like it didn't belong in this book, it left me feeling less content with the ending than I would have been if it ended 1 chapter earlier for a clean wrap-up. I know this is more a symptom of modern publishing, but it just felt a little awkward. Frankly, if you made it all the way to the last chapter, you're probably going to continue on. They don't need to sell you on the next book already. As a fan of the series, this book is exactly what you're looking for if you finished Avatar and Korra and wanted more. All in all, as an Avatar fan, I'd give this book a 9 out of 10, but if you're not well versed in Avatar, it's a solid 7. I'm looking forward to reading the sequel soon.